All right, boys. Like we said, very eventful weekend in the NHL. There was all kinds of chatter coming from Montreal about the Canadiens' front office situation after the brutal start, and it all came to a head Sunday afternoon. GM Marc Bergevin, a.k.a. the Bergevin, was fired just 4 months after the team made an unlikely run to the Stanley Cup final. The team also fired assistant GM Trevor Timmons and head of communications Paul Wilson. And assistant GM Scott Mellanby abruptly resigned on Saturday once he was told he wasn't in the running for the GM or president of hockey operations jobs. The Habs then went and hired Jeff Gordon as executive vice president, hockey operations, to assure the continuity of the day-to-day operations during the search for the team's next GM. The Habs said, while the next general manager will bring significant hockey expertise to the organization, an additional criterion of that person's role will be to communicate with fans in both French and English. So the team immediately shrinks their pool of potential candidates. Patrick Roy is the obvious name people go to. Marc said on Sunday night that there had been no communication with Roy yet. Bergevin released a statement thanking everybody. They had a press conference today. Biz, what was your take on this whole situation?
Whit, have you also heard the rumor of Luongo?
I haven't, but you know who else speaks French?
Me?
Dale
Biz, fucking idiot. Imagine Biz getting in there. All right, boys, we're gonna make sure we got a DJ guy.
Guys, we're gonna trade. We're gonna screw over the Avalanche, and we're gonna trade for Crosby.
I want Crosby.
Listen to my master plan. Listen to my master plan.
Enough of this protein shake stuff. We're trying to sell Pink Whitney, so get that in the stands. Well, I haven't heard of anyone besides the one name that the name like Briere. That's Patrick Roy, but
yeah, Briere as well.
Marc and Friedman already said that he hasn't been contacted, and I think the main reason on that one is like for whoever gets this job, oddly enough, like you're not the man in charge, right? Like Jeff Gordon is,
right,
and so,
which is a positive.
Actually, Molson had a presser today, and it was a couple notes. So Molson said even though the new Canadiens management team will feature a two-person team, it will be the GM who ultimately will have the final say in any hockey-related decision. So it's kind of weird to have a guy above you, but you're still making the call. Yeah. Asked if the coach was safe. Molson said, I don't make the coaching decision. But he also said, as far as I'm concerned, he's the coach and he's staying there. So, you know, these new GMs typically want their guys. So, obviously we're going to wait and see what happens.
I would say whoever is hired would be smart to lean on Gorton for any type of advice. I guess maybe shocked that he came out and said that the GM will have final say. Like, I don't know. I mean, like that's not that crazy either, Whit. I'll let you take back over what you're going to say though.
Well, no, that kind of changes what I thought. So like in thinking like a guy like Patrick Roy, who people mention, it's like, would he really be willing to like not be the one making the decisions? Now that statement completely contradicts what I thought. So maybe whoever Gordon hires, that's basically him saying like, I trust you to do it. But Jeff Gordon, I mean, he's
like, if you don't decide what I say, I'm going to fire you though. You know that,
yeah,
right?
It's kind of like what I wonder if he heard that. He's like, wait, what? I think I'm still going to tell him what to do. He basically was a big part of building the Boston team, and the Rangers now are pretty quickly much better, right? So like he's still well, what's the word? Like another job would have easily been his, right? If they're looking for GMs in Chicago, they're looking for GMs in Anaheim. Jeff Gordon easily could have got that job. So does he want to just be the one at top? Maybe he's making even more money, so he's happy he won't have the stress. But that's the biggest thing with Montreal is the stress of this job. And Bergevin was gassed, dude. I don't think he had anything left. Everyone kind of knew and saw the whole vibe around him, and he didn't have a contract going into this year, lame duck. And the whole thing being that job wears you down. And playing in Canada is one thing, and maybe it's no worse for wear than Toronto is or Edmonton, where it gets nuts. But Montreal with the French and the English and how passionate and how much those fans expect and what they've been through, like with all these titles, they don't really exactly get down with rebuild. So they're going to have to now.
Yeah, I feel like this was just delayed based on the amount of attacks. Not even attacks might be a strong word. The amount of criticism you would face in the media and from the fans, and all of a sudden you go on this magical run. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the run. That was very magical with timely scoring, incredible goaltending. And
you trying to say lucky in the nice way?
Well, I've talked to other hockey people who kind of watch the whole thing. And like, I'm sure PJ Stock doesn't care because we actually have him coming on the podcast. I'm not sure if we talked in length about it, but it was just one of these magical runs where I don't think they had much business. And, congratulations on the fact that they did it. Well, I think it ended up delaying the fact that this ends up happening. He was in control of a lot of the moves, some of which I thought were great moves. But if you're unable to find these great players and build through the draft, which they haven't really been able to do. They haven't really been able to find that number one center. I know Suzuki's stepping into that role now. He's really popping off after that slump early on, but they just, now it's like what he's created is really being seen. Although they did have a tough situation with Carey Price at the start of the year. It just, it doesn't seem as if though this rebuild and this master plan he had planned has put them in a good position to win moving forward. And inevitably, they had to let him go. And I don't know where this team goes from here, though. I think it's going to be a tough sledding for the next probably 2-3 years until they're able to find and build up their team through prospects and hopefully some good moves. So sucks for Bergevin because I think he put his heart and soul into it, and his method didn't really come out to help them win the cup.
Yeah, the way it all went down wasn't really that surprising. I think that the team moving forward is just they're in one, and I think they're near the top of the league in terms of actually like drafted talent playing for them. They're at the bottom of the league, where they don't really draft well and they don't really produce players. And Molson said that. I saw one of the tweets from someone who was at the press conference. He mentioned like we have to get back to drafting better and like having guys that are homegrown throughout our minor league system and getting guys up without having to go to free agency. You can't become a great team without drafting well and having.
There's also no excuse for teams that have that much money and budget because your resources when it comes to the whole scouting department are far greater than what other organizations have. So that's why there's really no excuse for it. It would be the exact same thing for I'm sure the Toronto Maple Leafs. No excuse. They probably have the biggest budget to spend in those areas. Much like if you look at football, you don't think Belichick surrounds himself with bigger staffs, having more eyes in order to draft better and this and that. So it kind of like some organizations I could see it, but a team like Montreal, it's like, if you can't build through the draft, it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
And as long as we've really had this podcast, I've always said I consider it so stupid at this day and age to have to hire a French speaking GM. It's like, as I already said, it limits the pool, limits who you're picking from. Now, once they hired a president of hockey operations from Melrose, Massachusetts, and Jeff Gordon, I think they had to get at least, maybe if they hired a French guy as the president, he could have hired a just English-speaking GM, but they're not going two straight English goons up there in Montreal. But now it does create a little bit of the pool is, there's not as many candidates, right? But I don't know. Like, if you look at now, it's going to come down to Gordon interviewing people. And if he's not in charge, like the owner says, he's got to completely trust in somebody. And he has half the amount of picks, if not less, that he could go with if a guy didn't speak French.
All right. Is there anyone else you could think off the top of your head who might get the job?
Someone pointed out on Twitter, Dale Talon speaks French. I mean, I don't think that he would hire him. But, I don't know if Dale's going to get another GM.
You got all these fucking GMs with the Rosetta Stone earbuds in. They're trying to learn French fucking quick so they can open up the talent pool here.
Pal Eric Engels, I read he had a great article about it. He said that it's probably going to be a rookie GM. That's what Engels said. So it's probably going to be someone. Well, it could be, we just said Luongo, Briere. It could be someone off the grid. I don't think Wow was a GM in Colorado. He coached there. So I don't know if it's going to be one of these big names or somebody we never heard about, but it's most likely going to be a rookie GM per Eric Engels. So it'll be interesting. But Gordon, man, which makes it seems to me like that would be Gordon really kind of teaching this guy while being a part of it. Yeah, like a mentor. Not giving him final say. So I don't know. That's odd. Yeah. But Montreal, it's going to be a little bit of a long road here until they can get some, right? Like New York has done it quicker because they won a couple lotteries. And they had one of the best defensemen in the world basically say, I'm only playing for the Rangers. It's like, you got to get lucky involved in turning things around too, if he wants to be quick.
Big time.
Yeah, the Canadiens fans, you're probably looking at a rebuild, but Gordon's a brilliant hockey mind. I mean, he was basically just waiting for the right job. He's well respected. He treats people well. He's a terrific drafter. So if you need a guy to rebuild your organization, he's a hell of a guy to do it.